in the end, they are able to do it. And, you know, when we got here today, we looked at all the matches. We did not think that a lot of them were going to be as close as they already have been today. And we have plenty of more action as we do move forward. But first, we got to break down that entire series. I mean, starting off with map 1, all of a sudden, Vitality just comes out really hot in this EU Showdown.
Yeah, they definitely do. And St. Marie-du-Mont is one of Red Reserve's stronger maps. You know, they have a very solid record on it. They love to play it. You've seen Zero. He rocks that third SMG. Again, we've talked a lot about those flex players, but Vitality, I mean, they really turned it around. Parking Lot Hill was mainly controlled by Red Reserve. You heard Ben and Phil talking about that. But, again, Vitality did a great job in middle and Winery.
And I will say Red Reserve is probably the best second to third hill rotating team in the game. They are fantastic at it, but my thing for Vitality is at some point they get streaks, and I can't remember who it was that was calling them in, but they invested both a glide bomb and an artillery on the restaurant hill. If you know Red Reserve has been able to consistently lock down Parking Lot, you at least should be saving the artillery for there, because they call it in and they don't even get the full 60 on restaurant, and they don't even get the spawns for next. So I think streak issues, and the same thing I'm going to say on Valkyrie, were a pretty big issue for Vitality moving forward. I think they can do a much better job. Of course, though, they did get the win. It could have been more if they had streaks, but ultimately they didn't need them. All 4 players across the board did a fantastic job, and for Red Reserve, really, it was just the Joe show.
Yeah, I will say, too, Merc, I mean, even though Vitality does come out on top, they do start a very impressive entire series, right? They take the first 2 maps down. This is so close. I mean, it's only 10 seconds splitting them apart.
Yeah, and you can see the difference between second and third hill. I mean, Winery 130 to 17, Parking 124 to 11. So that's really the story of this map. It's kind of what you expect, but both teams doing a great job holding those hills down. They rotate at the right time. You know, there was some streak usage, but that game got a little scary there for Vitality. Red Reserve, they are making that comeback. They contested enough time at Winery. They rotate to Parking Lot, but finally a solid push out of Vitality allows them to secure that map.
Definitely does get scary at the end, but then we head over to map 2, and this is where Vitality's actually able chance to put themselves on match point in the series.
Absolutely. I mean, they played this map against Opti Gaming earlier, and I think they, lose the round 11, but they definitely showed some decent signs of life outside of making, the in-game adjustments. This time, though, they didn't need to make any, right? They just kind of had an overall kind of dominating performance, and that was very surprising to me. I expected Vitality to be able to play it close, but I just thought Red Reserve was the better Forest team. But Vitality, they proved me wrong. They played outstanding again across the board. The first 2 games they had kind of blew my mind with just how well they were playing. But obviously Vitality, we've talked about, they're getting better and better as more time goes on. But just everything from the 1v1 clutches it came down to for the rounds where they blow Red Reserve out of the water. Anything that could go right did go right.
I mean, that's the thing. This is a very different game than the first one, Merc. What is it about Vitality that actually makes them come out so dominant, 6-2?
I mean, it was just their team play, right? It was their team pushes. When they were able to get numbers, they successfully either retook your bomb site or had full control of it. There wasn't a lot of sort of 2v2 or 3v2 skirmishes. It was a lot of the times Vitality, they had a 3v1, they had a 4v1. There was a few 1v1 clutches that, they did go their way, but for the most part, as Chance said it was just full control for Vitality, so they did a great job in this game too. Again, we sort of expected this map to come through because they did go to a round 11 with Octave, right? It was a very close game, so great job by Vitality.
Yeah, and now the thing is Red Reserve inside of this map, we already knew that the stakes were pretty high for them. If they are able to lock down this series win, all of a sudden they find themselves in a great position moving forward in the league. Now they have to do it in a reverse sweep, and that all gets kicked off here, Chance, on the CTF.
And I was nervous. I genuinely thought that Vitality might have been able to have it in the bag because they could have 3-0'd Optic, if a couple more things would go their way, and they had the opportunity to do it once again. But the CTF was very, very controlling for Red Reserve. It was very nice to see them kind of bounce back, have a very solid game, keep control the entire time. They get that nice 2-flag lead on the first side, and then the next side, all the opportunities, they can just trap Vitality in their base. They don't have to overextend. They don't have to do anything too risky. And then anytime things got weird, I think it was Joe for the 11th time we've seen him, goes on the overextension to kind of sneak pull flag. So Red Reserve, they handle Forest CTF very, very well. Of course, the kills were going in their favor as well. So very solid performance once again from Red Reserve.
What do you think changes, Merc? Because not only does Red Reserve manage to, they don't just skate by with this win, like Chance has kind of alluded to. they look relatively dominant on the CTF.
Yeah, you have to look at the scoreboard. You obviously have Zero, who was 20-11, 21-11, whatever he finished, and then you have, Rated has another big game. I think that just sort of flipped it around. If you look at game one, there were some players struggling. So as soon as that flips, well, that's that 3-0 lead. They're able to get those streaks, hang on to it. They can use them offensively or defensively. A great game 3 from Red.
Beautiful game, man. Can't take it away from Whalers, though. He's kind of a Don throughout this entire series.
Has been for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, really has been. Yeah. Really has been. Now we go to the second hard point inside of the series. And the story's kind of the same. It's just a different team comes out on top. Merc, once again, a very, very close hard point.
Yeah, we've seen this with Valkyrie, where one team gets ahead. They get ahead about 70, 80 points, and then we sort of reset. And this is where things got scary for Red Reserve. Vitality. They just sort of put together 2 to 3 hills that basically gave them the lead. It got very scary for Red Reserve. They started to slow down. Vitality heated up. It started in this ventilation room, and well, it did come down to the end, but Red Reserve, they were able to close it out. But again, a great effort from Vitality once again on a hard point.
And something both teams actually did a very good job on. It was Red Reserve the first time around, the rotation from the second hill to the third. It's similar to St. Marie. It's not the easiest rotation to make, but if you pull it off, you can get scrap time, get a near full 60, and convert that into a second full 60. It's very difficult to pull off, but both teams kind of did it to each other. That's kind of what got Vitality back in the game, but talked about their streak usage not being the best on map number 1. I think it was similar here towards the end. Not those streaks right there, but they had another artillery barrage earlier that they put on smokestacks, but then they immediately got like the 4 men down, and then they can't get in the own hill that they should be in control of. And again, I don't think it's something that necessarily costed them the game, but they could have used streaks at their disposal quite a bit better. And when it's an 18-point game, that might be enough to teeter them over the edge.
And you can see, all in all, we look at that scoreboard, that's going to bring us all the way to the game 5. And in game 5, we already started to talk about Whalers. He steps up yet again, and inside the search and destroy, his plays are going to be so big that it is going to be the play of the game, presented by Scuff. And taking a look at this right now, you can see exactly how Whalers earned it.
Yeah, you can definitely see. So he picks up that first snipe, then gets a nice little wall bang right here on Josh. So that's already 2 on the board. You can see they have a very early lead. It's a 2 versus 3. He decides to throw a nade. 1 player challenges. He catches Joe. Then again, 1 versus 3 for Zero. He knows that Zero has a snipe. He's feeling confident this round. He runs right at him with that sniper rifle. Able to pick up the ace. A great round out of Whalers. Was setting the tone for Vitality, but well, that went away after that 5-2 lead.
Yeah, of course, that is only a cross-section of what we saw inside of that S&D, and we're going to unpack the entire thing right now. But before they even jumped into the game, you could hear the casters, mainly Momo, just going, look, this is Red's map. This is Red's map every single time. They should be able to just close this one out. In the past, they've looked so dominant. Zero with that sniper rifle has just looked insane, but Vitality really does put up a fight chance.
It was the Whalers show early on, but it was alluded to a little bit earlier when we were talking about the first search and destroy. Vitality, they don't really make many in-game adjustments. Like, yes, Whalers was phenomenal early on with the sniper, but at a certain point, you're losing rounds, and they don't mix up strats. But Red Reserve, on the other hand, they're getting destroyed over by the A bomb site. So what do? One round on offense, they smoke out A, and then they just fake it and go over towards B. So they mix things up. They win rounds just by playing against their opponent. And even towards that round 11, it was another situation where Vitality, they do the exact same thing they've done every single round on offense. The guy with bomb just dances back and forth, tries around A, tries to bait out some nades, and that time Red Reserve just didn't bite. Or it was this round, excuse me, whatever it was. But Red Reserve doesn't bite. They get that first blood. Now Vitality has wasted so much time trying to bait out nades that they don't have any time to work with, have to go for the rush plant, and yes, they get it off, but then Red Reserve plays it perfectly and runs them over. Like, again, Vitality just didn't make the adjustments necessary.
And ultimately, Merc, we go all the way, the full distance inside of this S&D.
Yeah, we definitely do. I know we touch a lot on Zero's gameplay, right? He's a sniper, he's a flashy guy, but I love what the other 3 do. They smoke out bomb sites. All 3 of them run PPSHs. We typically don't see that. Typically, you either see a double snipe setup, you see a sniper and an AR watching over both of those lanes. But, I mean, Red Reserve, they do it differently. All 3 of those guys, Rated, Joe, and Josh, they go around the map. They basically act as a wolf pack, right? They're pushing out those different lanes. They're playing sneaky spots with those PPSHs. It's a different play style to USS Texas, and it's because they have full trust in Zero to basically lock down half the map. I love what they do on that map.
Absolutely. Like, another play that was kind of brought up that Rated pulled off is like the 1v1 early on that he had against against Whalers where he had like a second and a half left on the clock and like hunted him down. Like, even if those small 1v1s don't go the way to Red Reserve, the opportunity isn't there for them to make the comeback, right? So not only do they do a phenomenal job of clutching up when necessary, but Zero had the slow start. He hit snipes towards the end, and they make the strategic adjustments necessary. It was the Whalers show at the start, but they just did not close out. They didn't try anything new, and that cost them. But looking forward, Vitality, obviously they're a team to look out for into Atlanta. They still have room for improvement, though.